Hi, I'm Maximilian Alvarez. I'm the editor-in-chief of the Real News Network and host of the podcast Working People, and this is the art of class war on Breaking Points. France was rocked this past week when well over 1 million working people across the country took to the streets to protest President Emmanuel Macron's proposed changes to the country's beloved pension system. Macron, who is in his second and final term, is pushing to raise the official retirement age from 62 to 64 years. And this is not the first time that Macron has pushed for such reforms. In true die-hard neoliberal fashion, Macron managed to piss off practically the entire country 3 years ago by attempting to force through drastic changes to the French pension system, prompting a general strike that brought everyone from railroad workers to teachers to even museum workers and ballet dancers to the streets in one of the largest mass demonstrations that the country has seen in a generation. Now, that was right before COVID-19 turned our world upside down. And I actually published a special episode of my podcast, Working People, in January of 2020, in which I interviewed 8 French workers who were on strike at the time about why they were hitting the streets and why they were fighting so hard to maintain the existing pension system. One of those workers was Mathieu Bolredat, a train operator and general secretary of the Versailles branch of the CGT Union, or the General Confederation of Labor in France. In this Breaking Points exclusive segment, I'm honored to be joined by Mathieu once again, who is calling in from France as we speak. Now, due to the time sensitivity of this interview and the time difference between the East Coast of the United States and France, I could not make it down to DC to the Breaking Point studio to record this interview, so we're recording it today on Sunday, January 22nd, from the Real News Network studio here in Baltimore. Mathieu, thank you so much for joining us today on Breaking Points, brother. It's great to see you again.
Thank you very much, Max. Thank you very much to call me again.
Well, I know you got a lot going on, and I really appreciate you calling in. It's been a busy week. And before we get to the strike this past week, I wanted to actually take us back to that moment before COVID-19 in December of 2019 and January of 2020, when you and your fellow workers hit the streets once again in opposition to Macron's proposed changes to the pension system. Now, I imagine a lot of folks who are watching this may not remember that too well, or maybe don't know about it at all. So can you just give our viewers and listeners a little background on what those the size of the strikes 3 years ago and what they were really about?
Yes, of course. First of all, I owe you an apology. Excuse me for my bad English, of course, because I'm French, so I'm lazy, and especially about my bad accent, my ugly accent. But I think my English is better than your French, so you have to figure it out. So, yes, thank you for this question about 2020, because it's very important. It's the roots of this situation now. President Macron was very confident, okay? So he tried to break our pension system in 2019, December, okay? Just like, I think, 3 weeks before Christmas, okay? So we start an unlimited strike for our stronger sector, unionist sector. So, for example, the transport workers. You mentioned the opera. It was very important. Of course, there are not plenty, but it's very symbolic. Okay, the postmans, the firemen, including the comrade from refinery or from electric power. And so we start this unlimited strike, the December 5th, and the other sector, less strong, okay, they joined us every Tuesday for a general strike and massive demonstration in Paris. So it was a huge moment because it was like, for example, for me, I do literally 53 days of strike, you know? So with two pay, because we have a pay by months, not by weeks, two pays with €0, literally. So it was a huge adventure, a huge fight. And finally, we won. We won against him. He take back his bill and he put it in his natural place, in natural space, the basket, the trash garbage. So it's and for example, the people from collecting garbage in Paris or in Marseille, the second city of France, was on strike during 3 or 4 weeks. So can you imagine the bourgeoisie finally smells the real life on Paris because they have a mountain, the hill of garbage in all the streets in Paris. The tourist was gone. The Palace of Versailles was closed. The Eiffel Tower was closed. The underground was stopped, etc., etc. Because we fight to defend the legacy of our grandfather who fight against the Nazi fascist occupation. And after the war, they build our social security system. Okay, I know in USA a lot of politicians call us socialists, and one of the target, one of the things they hate is our social security system because it's the efficientest in the world, and it's the system who guarantee the less number of pensioners poor in all over the world. Less than in USA, of course, but less than in Germany, in England, in Italy, etc., etc. Because we have a very generous system. For example, the common law is the pension in the common law is 62 for everybody. Okay, and the for the railway, for example, our system it's 57. But for the drivers, as me, our system is the pension in 52 years old. So basically, in 8 years, I will be pensioner, man, and I can do a good travel to meet you in Baltimore and visit your great country. So that's a great legacy. You understand? Okay, I insist because I know in USA is definitely not the same system. Okay, so that's a big legacy, and we want to keep it. And after there is this crazy COVID pandemic situation in all over the world, so Macron stopped his attacks, and now he was re-elected, and it guess what? He did it again. He tried again to attack our pension system. So the new bill plan in next July 2 more years for everybody. So for me, it will be not 52, it will be 54. For the common people, it will be not 62, it will be 64. Okay, and the other things, because there is a troll in the bill, it's you have to work until 62, but in 62 you have not the full pension. You can go become pensioner, but very poor. And if you want the full pension, you have to continue until 67. So, basically the choice to the working class, it's you have to choose to be a poor pensioner in 62 or a grandpa, an old man at work in 67. That's the choice for us. But the statistics, the studies from the university, from the public organism, from the government, the claims that 64, it's the point where the majority of the manual workers, of the poor people, of the people with casual job dying or start to dying. So it's this pension bill. It's really it's a retracement for the dead people. That's a very important, because if you walk outside on the cold weather or the hot weather, if you walk during the night, very early in the morning, if you walk with asbestos or with magnetic laser, etc., 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 all this difficult condition of work for the majority of the poor people of the working class, okay, you lose between 7 and 12 years of life. That's the point. So it's why it's important to have a system who guarantee for we, the working class, an early retirement, because we will dying soon. That's the problem. So we fight for this principle. We fight for our by respect to our grandfather who fought for this system against Nazi fascists. We fight for us, and we fight for the next generation. Even for the working class, they are not born now. We fight for them. We fight for a principle. That's very important. So 3 days ago, we was on general strike. There is 70% of the schools was closed in the entire country. The train, the buses, the metro, the airport was paralyzed. The factory was closed. The refinery was the pipes was turned off, etc., etc. And we was about 2 million people in the street in the entire country, including 500,000 people in Paris. And we claim not 1 year more, not €1 less. That was our claims. And because the government doesn't want to negotiate with us, we decide a new day of general strike for January 21. No, 31, sorry, 31. So in 2 weeks, 10 days, basically. And if they still not want to negotiate, we will start in the beginning of February an unlimited strike like in 2019. Sorry, maybe I was long and confused.
No, that was great, brother. I mean, again, it's really important for folks watching and listening to this to have that context. And I wanted to kind of ask you if we could talk a little bit more before I let you go about that principle at the heart of everything. Because I know there are going to be a lot of folks here in the United States who are thinking, well, I don't have a pension system that allows me to retire at age 62. So why should the French have one, right? And the French, you and your fellow workers are looking at our system where people like my parents will never be able to retire, where they work until they die, often in debt. Even the notion of retirement is becoming a thing of the past, as you know, and you guys are saying we don't want what you in the United States have, right? We want the system that we fought for after World War II, because we believe there is more to life than work. Could you like, I guess if you could talk directly to people in the United States and beyond about why that is such a sacred principle that it would bring millions of people to the streets.
Yeah, it's tricky. The history has many tricks. The working class of the United States, sorry, was the lighthouse of our fight in France. our May Day. It's coming from your martyrdom in Chicago. Okay, we followed you. You give the start of the struggle in all over the world. The beautiful strike in Chicago, the beautiful strike in, for example, in Paterson, New Jersey, the lot of a fight in Massachusetts, etc. And I know this joke from the Republican Party. They call the Massachusetts Taxachusetts, and it's very important to fight as working class because, and I know it's difficult, but I think you have the age to listen to that. You are a growing up guy. Santa Claus doesn't exist. I know it's difficult to hear, but Santa Claus doesn't exist. We we don't have collective agreements. We don't have good wages. We don't have pension system. We don't have free school and education for all people because a sovereign, a president, a good prime minister, a good Congress give it to you, to us. We have that because our grandfather, father fight for this. That's very important. And they fight for this, and the majority of them, they don't, they could not profit of the benefits of that. They fight for that for the future, for the children. And we have this legacy in our hands. So who the fuck are we if we don't fight to keep it and to give this legacy to our children? You know, that's the point today. You know, for example, in 2019, just an example about this principle. In 2019, they asked to us an agreement. Okay, we passed the bill, but not for you, for the workers in 2 years. So you can keep it. And they call that the grandfather clause, you know, the grandfather agreement. But if we accept that, if we have accept that, which grandfather we are? Not a very good, not a very cool grandfather, no? Okay, a very bad grandfather, a grandfather who said to his grandchildren, okay, for keep my profits, I cut yours. No, 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 no. For keep my benefits, I cut yours. So I'm a father. I hope one day I will be a grandfather, and I fight for me, but for my daughter, and I'm proud of that. And I'm proud of that. And so to the American people, I will tell to you, we are workers, and we are proud to be workers because we create all the beautiful things in the world. The trader, they create nothing. The CEO, they create nothing. But we, the workers, the working class, we have gold in our hands. From nothing, from the nature, we create buildings, train, wheat, bread, especially in France, because I know you have not bread good like in France. I'm sorry about that.
No, it's all right.
And we create all the wealthy thing, all the beautiful things in the world. And we prove that when we are on strike, because we prove when we stop to work, the France collapse. So we prove that we are the only class, the working class, we are the only class who create something. So they have to respect us and they have to share with us all the profits we create for them, for the companies. So we want, as Margaret Thatcher says, give me my money back. I create, I create the profits. I want my share, and I want it now.
Hell yeah. Well, I think that's beautifully put, man. And yeah, let's make Margaret Thatcher proud.
Yeah.
And
It was
again,
an unexpected word, I think, from you.
yeah, exact unlikely comrade, Margaret Thatcher.
Yeah.
Um, well, and I know I gotta let you go, but I just wanted to stress for people watching and listening how important what you said is, right? Because this is something that I see all the time in the reporting that I do for the real news, for breaking points, for my podcast, Working People. So often I talk to workers who are going on strike, not because they want a better contract for themselves, but because they know that if they accept a contract that a company is offering, that every worker who comes in after them is going to get screwed, right? This is what happened when Kellogg's, the cereal company, went on strike. They knew that the contract was going to protect the benefits and wages of workers who had been there for a long time. But for new workers, they were going to get shit. And the old workers said, we're not going to, take the benefits for ourselves and leave everyone else out to dry. We're going to go on strike for everybody. And that's what you all are doing in France is you want to keep a system that allows people to retire with dignity, that allows people to enjoy some of their life without having to work until they die. And you're doing that not just for yourselves, but you're doing it to carry on the legacy of the generations that came before you. And you were doing it to pass that legacy on to the
that that
generations
that that
come
that
after.
that the point, and how you can explain you have to work until 70, and there is half there is like 6 million, 10 millions of young people from the next generation, they are unemployed. How you can explain that? How you can accept this system? If you have your new life, pensioner life, you give your job to a young guy, and that's great. That's a cycle of the life. May I just please, before I go, just say a big hello to all my brothers and sisters in USA, especially the comrades from the roofer and waterproofer local 36 union in LA. My comrades, brothers and sisters from a school job teacher from Minneapolis, and from my very great comrade I met in the last Congress of the World Federation of Trade Unions, the new comrades organized from the Starbucks coffee. Big up to you. You are great. You are beautiful, especially in your country. I love you, really, really. And like Joe Hill said, it's better than Thatcher. Like Joe Hill said, don't mourn, organize.
Don't mourn, organize. I think that's beautifully put, baby. And I guess the final question, like you said, there is a new date, the end of this month, January 31st, where you and workers are going to be hitting the streets again. What can folks inside and outside of France, what can working people do to show solidarity with you and your fellow countrymen on January 31st?
That's an important question, because since we create the May Day in the 19th century, the international solidarity between workers was very, very important to help us to win. Because I think your worst enemy when you are on strike during days and days, weeks and weeks, is the feeling of loneliness. That's a big enemy, okay? Because it's a psychological war. You need to be support. So the bosses, they have no borders. The bosses, they have no borders. They could be nationalists, but they have no borders. They work together to break us. So we have to have to be no borders between working class and support each other. So we can just um, make a sign, take a pictures, put it on the social media. That's very important. We can make a meeting with in university or in your union or in your district to support us, and maybe we can have a Zoom Connect to exchange. That's possible. We can collect money and send it to support people. That's a solution too. And there is another thing. You can come. You can come to meet us, fight with us. Max, you are my guest. I tell you, you are my guest. We will host you. We will feed you. You will demonstrate with us, and you can interview people literally on the picket lines. No problems. It's very important to have delegation to support each other. There is a waves in the all over the world, waves of struggle and strike. Of course, in the north of Europe, but in South America, in India, in
In
Bangladesh,
the UK, in
yeah,
the UK right
in the
now.
UK, this movement whose name "Enough is Enough" is a beautiful movement, and we go in the picket line to support them. The 31 of March, there is people from Britain and from Greece coming in Paris to demonstrate with us. I think it's very important to show to the brothers and sisters the message, the sentence: you are not alone.
Oh yeah. So I couldn't have said it better myself. And that is Mathieu Bolredat, a train operator and general secretary of the Versailles branch of the CGT Union in France. Mathieu, thank you so much for joining me today on Breaking Points, brother. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
We're sending all of our love and solidarity from here in Baltimore. Thank you all for watching this segment on Breaking Points. Be sure to subscribe to my news outlet, The Real News Network, with links in the show notes. See you soon for the next edition of The Art of Class War. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Solidarity forever.
Hey guys, ready or not, 2024 is fully upon us now, and Sagar and I have been brainstorming ways that we can really up our game for this critical election.
Yeah, we rely on our premium subs to expand our coverage, to add staff, to upgrade the studio. We just want to give you the best independent coverage of this election, which is possible. So if you can help us out, become a premium subscriber today, breakingpoints.com, or the link is down here in the description video. It really means the world to us, and if you like what we're all about, this is the best possible way to keep us 100% independent, working only for you.